Hello, my YouTube friends. Thanks for joining in, guys. I appreciate it, man. We got so much going on tonight. I hope you guys can hear the signal okay because I have some extra air conditioning going on in Texas, man. It's hot. And I mean, when I say it's hot here, it is hot, man. But we also have something else really hot to talk about tonight, man. And I appreciate you guys joining in, first of all. Thank you so much. If you haven't hit that subscribe button, it's right down snare. Slam that baby and get yourself in, man. Ah, but tonight I want to talk about some really cool studio gear, some of the best kept secrets in the audio world for some reason. I don't know. I know we had a lot of other really cool reverbs and things like that going on at the time, man, when they came out this puppy right here in 1988. Ah, this is one of my little babies right here. I love this thing. It is a jewel and it has been really, really taken care of. As you can see, the ears are really, really nice. But the best thing about this piece of gear, man, it has been used on so many cool recordings. This is probably one of the best piece of gear for the money. Now, keep in mind, this is 1988 when this came out. So this was over 30 years ago. And guys, this baby is still a working and sounding as intended. It is just such a beautiful piece. And I want to say I've had so much fun with this thing, not because it just sounds wonderful and has lasted all these years, but it seems like everything that I have purchased from the past still seems like it just opened up out of a time capsule. Just works perfectly, man. Everything is intended. But I really like this piece when they came out with this one because it has four different effects that you can run simultaneously on it. Everything from your delay, reverb, pitch, EQ. It's just such an awesome piece that you can actually get in and EQ those reverbs, man. I always like to do that stuff in the beginning. If you can hit anything that you plan on doing later on in the beginning, your tracking is going to sound so much better, man, because it's going to be closer to the source, man. You always want to keep it close to the source. But I just love this baby right here. The other night, I'm gonna put a link at the end of this page at the end of this show tonight, in case you miss out. I also did one on the Alesis. Let's see which one that was, the Midi Verb 3 that I did a show on. So I'm gonna put a link up there above. If you missed it, you gotta check it out, man, because it's really, really cool. It's a good little video. If you're into old vintage gear, that you got to keep in mind the records that were coming out that time. They were using other reverbs as well. Everything from Lexicon. It seemed like that was at the time anyway. That was one of the best reverb units that were coming out on the new pop stuff. But I love that old cool music in the 80s. I want to say late 80s, early 90s. I just really enjoyed the music that was coming out, that pop stuff that was coming out. It's just well written songs, tunes with lots of reverb. The British band came in and they were doing a lot of cool stuff we were hearing from different um, times and different areas of the world. And it was such a beautiful thing because we were collaborating with these guys and actually competing with them too in the studio. So they would come out with some great stuff, and so would we. So there was a big thing going on back in the day in those massive studios on who did what and who made sound what, so there was a lot of places where the drums sounded really good and a lot of the tracking was done in these facilities because the drum room just sounded so rock and roll, man. So but it leads me back to this Alesis piece, and I want to stay on this and try not to get too far ahead of myself as to what I want to talk about tonight. Alesis has, put out many, many other products as well, other than just digital effects, things like that. They've got keyboards that they actually made. They've got monitors that they've actually made, and they've done all kind of really cool, interesting stuff for the audio world. And the question raises for me and resonates with me the most is how long this stuff has lasted. I mean, can you think of any, honestly, any or much gear at all, if it has to do with electronics or computers, that would withstand the test of time over 30 years? That's just insane to think about that, guys. It really is. And not only is this piece working, I haven't that Midi Verb over there that sounds perfect, man, just as intended. You can get in and set the parameters and all these things, and that's what's just so beautiful is they were doing 16-bit stuff that was CD quality stuff, reverbs and whatnot, and it just beautiful stuff. But I found a little thing here earlier. Let's see if I can find it, man. Hang on. Yeah, excuse the extra noise, man. We've got some extra air going on tonight, so if it's bleeding into the mic, I apologize. But let's see here. I wanted to show you, read something to you. So yeah, it came out. They introduced this piece in 1988. But just check out some of these features right here: 16 hertz to 20 kilohertz. That's crazy frequency response. As I said before, 4 simultaneously effects at one time. Um, Touch sensitive, multi-speed controlled. You got MIDI on it. It's just insane the things that Alesis was thinking about at this time when MIDI was just going crazy. You had Rush out there, and then all these other bands, Depeche Mode, and all these other killer bands, Duran, who were using stunning keyboards and whatnot, and using MIDI. And so it's just really, really interesting for me as to be able to get on here and show you guys some of my old gear that I actually played around with and enjoyed throughout the years. That it's just some beautiful stuff, man. I mean, I just can't say enough how happy I've been with Alesis and the gear that they've made for all of us engineers to enjoy. And it would be very interesting to know all the reverbs that was used on this and some of those old recordings that we just don't know about. But hey, this at the time, this was some great professional studio gear that was being made, and just sounded fabulous with the tails and whatnot on the reverbs and whatnot. So who knows what this mix or what mix this one could have snuck in on and been in one of those really, really cool recordings. I don't know. Only the engineers, right? But I just really, really enjoy this, man, and it's so fun getting on here and talking about this old gear. I actually have another piece of gear that came out, I want to say in the 80s as well. It's a rack piece by Art, and we're going to be doing a review, not review, just kind of talking about some great sounds that came off of that one. And I know, pretty sure, it seems like I read one article before that one specific great band at the time was using that on their vocals. So I'll have to go back and try to find that, man, so that I can share that with y'all. But that was really interesting, and that was one of the reasons why at the time I kind of snagged on that puppy, man. Everything that we read back in the day when this stuff came out was typically by magazines, Mix Magazine or Recording Magazine or Electronic Magazine or something to that. They would do little ads and whatnot. And I remember, because I had all those subscriptions to all those different ones. And so at one time, I literally had like a library of nothing but these cool audio engineer magazines, what bands were doing, what equipment they were using. It was just a lot of fun. And so I just wanted to share with you that, it was neat reading about that stuff on Alesis back in the day in those old magazines. And I wished I would have kept all that stuff, during the move. It just felt like one more thing to try to move. And I asked my son if he wanted all those cool magazines. And he's like, no, Dad. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm not going to tote them with me. But anyway, I regret that, guys, because there was tons of great articles in there in those old magazines, man. And if you were an inspiring engineer coming up at the time, that's what you did. You read everything everybody was doing, how they were doing it, and what they were using. And so it was really cool, But Alesis has come a long ways as far as being out there a long, long time. And just look at this. I want to try to get this in the camera and keep in mind how old it is. But it really, really does sound good. And I am really happy with this thing. Um, I need to dig up some of those old recordings that I did using this reverb unit and whatnot. But I really enjoy this. Again, I want to reiterate on the fact that how ahead of their time there was, Alesis was. They were using such great sample rates, right? So the tails on the reverbs just sounded really, really good. And so I plugged this in. I'm going to do another video on both of these, the MIDI verb and the quad reverb. And except I'm going to be actually running this microphone through the unit. So we're going to be doing a night where I'm talking through this and just kind of going through a few of the effects and whatever. And you can just hear how beautiful the reverbs and tails, and you can get into the parameters easy and change EQ, how long you want your delay to be. It's just insane what this thing will do. So I want to do two videos, one on this one, showing you what this baby still sounds like after all these years. It's insane, man. And then that other one over there, I want to do the MIDI verb as well, and actually run this microphone through it. Same preamp and everything, just going through this unit and letting you guys hear what these old Alesis pieces sound like. You can pick them up, man. I got on YouTube the other night because I was just curious to see if anybody's selling them. Why they would be selling them, I have no idea. Maybe they need the extra dough. But these things just are killer, man. And so anyway, they did have a few of them on for sale. That was, I can't really remember, but it seemed like they were under $300 or 150 or whatever. But you can check it out yourself. Get on eBay and check it out and see if they have the MIDI verb or the quadra verbs for sale. And check it out, man, and see if if it's legit and everything's working as intended. Man, I would not. I mean, I just have to say, I would say jump on it, man, because these things are insane. If you want to make those records that sound like the records back in the day, that it's good idea to use what they were using, right? So, at the time they were using this, some Lexicon stuff and some other reverbs and whatnot. But hey, you know, if you want to sound like them, you got to use what they were using. That'll get you closest to the park as you want to be. And I just want to say thank you guys for joining in on this Saturday night, man. We got so many cool things going on, and I really wanted to share with you this Alesis gear. And if I had that art piece of gear right here, I'd show that to you, man. So we're gonna do a show on that, and the show just kind of on some of the older gear back in the '80s and early '90s, man. I just can't. I lay down at night after coming in here and playing with this quadra verb and actually getting to the parameters of it, and just going through it kind of slow, not really rushing through the presets so fast. And I've got my keyboard in, my Korg keyboard, the Mini Log XD, which sounds wonderful. So I'm gonna actually be doing some cool stuff with this as well, and letting you in on what I'm doing in real time. But I was going through some of the presets of this baby, man, and it was just absolutely stunning. Like I say, the delays and everything. I would be holding these long legato notes. Something maybe you'd hear Ozzy or somebody like that doing, holding out the note. And it was just insane when I'd stop, do kind of like a staccato on the end of it. Um, you would hear the tails of the delay go on, and it would be, more loud, pronounced. But as each echo or delay came back, it would be further back in the background. But I was really listening to that and trying to pay attention to, what was going on in the mix between my keyboards in real time. Just trying to get a real good volume level balance wise between the vocals and the keyboard, just to get that in to where it's going in a nice balance right off, and then using dynamics and air to support how much dynamic I wanted to put on each phrase of, that I'm singing. So anyway, I was working on that and I was paying attention to that and just trying to get a really, really good thing going on. But I was listening to the tails of this baby, and it was just insane, man. I couldn't believe how good it sounded. When you use something uh, and you haven't compared it to anything in a long time, it's kind of refreshing to actually pick this up and start using it again to find out how fabulous it sounds, man. Like I say, it went through a time where it probably wasn't getting used that much at all, and I was probably in my DAW using reverbs from Waves and other, you know, people to use my special effects. So for a while, I probably didn't use this unit, and so it was kind of refreshing coming back to it. Right when you come back to something that you haven't heard in a while, or an old friend that you just had really good times with, and you meet again, it's such a beautiful reunitement that you go, "Oh man, I love this thing, man. Where you been?" And so that's kinda how it is, man, with old gear and whatever. So, I just highly suggest you getting you something like this. Seeing now they do make, it seems like at one time I had the compressor, which was a half rack little piece that, was beautiful. Same coloring as, what they did with this Alesis right here, the colors, their logo color or whatever. Um, but just it was just a smaller piece, and then they had the Nano Verb, which was another piece, half rack little space that you could get and purchase the ears for it, so it could go in a rack. And then they had this oral exciter back in the day. It was just for vocals, really. I mean, you could put it on guitar tracks and whatnot, but we always would strap that little piece across the vocal track. And if you can find one, man, that would be the thing to snatch up on that's working, because those things sounded to die for, man. I want to say it was called the Oral Exciter, but it was kind of like an exciter would do, for your voice or anything like that. And so yeah, see if you can't find one of those. Put it on, grab it up, man. Get you one, and we're gonna do a show on the Alesis, on how they sound, and but everything that Alesis put out, man, really sounded good. So man, check it out if you haven't already. Thanks so much for joining in tonight, and join in again, same time, same place. Some nights we do an Audio Master midnight special show. So I was thinking I would do that tonight, but man, it's just so hot outside. Things are going on, and so I am going to I don't know, kind of call it short this evening. But hey, a lot of great things going on. Like I say, if you haven't subscribed to the YouTube channel, do so now. If you haven't subscribed to the Audio Master Facebook group, I highly suggest doing that too, man. We got a lot of cool things going on there as well. And you don't want to miss out on some cool stuff that we have there. People putting up their songs, their music, engineers joining in, participating. It's a really cool place to be, as always. And we want to try to continue to bring in the content for you guys, bring in the meat, and talk about the really cool stuff. I'm also going to be doing not an interview, but a review on a really cool mic. I'm not going to mention it right now. It's a new mic that's out. It's not a clone, which is a really cool thing. They're not trying to clone anybody, but it's a vintage. I will say it's a vintage mic, a new company, fairly new, and they want me to do. I don't know, or at least I want to do. I want to do a review on this little baby, and so we'll see. So it's fun doing these little reviews. Nobody's paying me to do these reviews, and so this is some real honest stuff from my opinion, and it's great that everybody has their opinion, right? I love to say that because it's true, man. It's great that we have that right to have our own opinion, whether we like something or don't. So, anyway, thank you guys for joining tonight. As always, you're appreciated here at the Audio Master Show. It's going to be fun to be able to do some of this stuff here with the Korg Minilog XD keyboards. I'm not going to jump into that right now because I want you guys, when I start introducing the keyboards that I'm playing, I want you guys to be able to see me doing it, and so that there's no, it's my stuff, man. And so that's what we want, and so that we don't get in any kind of, I don't know, infringement rights stuff or whatever. So we want to make sure that everybody sees this is my stuff, man. So anyway, I'm going to be demonstrating some of the Korg sounds here that just to die for stuff, y'all, man, and some of the delays and the reverb using the old reverb unit, the Quadra right here, and the Midi Verb. I am going to be using on some of the synth stuff just to let you guys hear what I'm hearing and be blown away how beautiful these two units sound together, the Korg Mini Log XD with this unit right here. And so I've been putting this unit on a little mixer, my Mackie mixer, and running it through the auxiliaries so that each track on my mixer or each channel on my mixer, I can apply however much effect I want this into. So I've got it going through the vocals. I'll have it going through the vocals, and I'll have just a tad, just a smidget of it going, the Korg going through the mix. And so what that's going to do is going to help glue the track together in real time between me singing and the Korg playing. It's going to set them in somewhat of the same room, but not really. And that's what's going to be cool about it. And you guys are going to be able to check it out and hear what's going on with these two pieces, man. I would hold my Korg mini log up, but it's a little too big to kind of shake that up for you guys to see it. But if you want to know what they look like, you can definitely Google it, the Korg Mini Log XD, and it's a beautiful piece, man. But this is also a beautiful piece that I just want to keep raving about. If you can get one, if you can get anything by Alesis, do the research yourself, find out whether it's something you want to put in your studio. But every piece of gear in your studio that sounds good is, part of your arsenal, man. So keep that in mind. If you want to make those records like those old ones, get you some of this old gear. Appreciate you guys joining in tonight, as always, and we will see you tomorrow.